Welcome to another Community Conversations. I'm your host, Ian Parkinson, and I have with me today Lisa Dressler, the Executive Director of the Southeast Alberta Chamber of Commerce, and Stephen Pudwell, the newly elected President of the Southeast Alberta Chamber of Commerce. Welcome.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks.
Congratulations on your presidency.
Yes, it's a good. I've been working up to the moment and stuff like that, but I am looking forward to the new year coming.
And what a lot of people don't know is that this is Stephen's second time on the board. So he's actually served with the Chamber of Commerce before. And so I'm very pleased that he had made the decision to come back onto the Chamber board.
You didn't have enough punishment the first time.
Exactly. So there's just, I think it's important to give back to the city that you live in. And then some of those changes that you can make here do ripple out and make bigger things happen.
So what area of industry are you coming from?
Background was hospitality, and then computer IT, security, those kind of things. Right. And then just of lately, I'm a marketing consultant, so people who need business plans of how to do marketing, well, that's where I get into.
And that's pretty one of the topics that the Chamber actually does as well for its members in the community.
So I think oftentimes the Chamber can be seen as a bit of a business coach or a business consultant in terms of, we're here to help business solve some of their challenges. So where we come in is, we'll guide and direct. So we'll ensure that our businesses are connected to the right people. So whether that's somebody like Stephen or if they have legal questions, making sure they're connected to a law professional or a business coach or, other professionals that we have within our membership. And that's one of the key, I think, strengths that the Chamber has is the fact that we have over 800 connections within the business community locally. And so we have a lot of expertise within our community, and we always say if we don't know the answer, we probably know somebody who does. And so we always like people to think of the Chamber first, or our business community really to think of the Chamber first when they have a challenge, is because we can help with that, that problem solving and trying to work towards solutions, because nobody wants to sit with a problem for very long. It always feels much better when you can find a solution to that problem and move forward. And so that's where we really come in terms of the connections. So whether that's business support solutions, purchasing, shipping, that's a hot topic right now, marketing, promotions, but also on the advocacy side as well. Yeah, Stephen mentioned HR and different HR supports that we can help business connect with and discounts on those services. But the advocacy side as well. So lots of times businesses might have hurdles or obstacles when it comes to the regulatory environment. Businesses are really good at running their business, but trying to navigate some of the, whether permits or zoning or challenges or obstacles when it comes to just being able to establish your business or grow your business or expand your operations. Sometimes it's a little more challenging to navigate, and businesses don't really have the time to do that. And I think a lot of businesses also don't know some of the things that are coming down the pipe. So we try to make sure that we're informed and educated on the things that government is doing, so that we can actively advocate for whatever changes need to be made to come into place.
And sometimes what government's not going to do anymore.
Right. We also make sure that we highlight some of the areas and opportunities. And one of those, a good example would be the economic development strategy. So we've been advocating for the city to have an economic development strategy for over a decade. And so we anticipate that will be coming out in Q1 of 2025. So we're looking forward to seeing, what that showcases and also being involved in the solution. So how can we ensure that moves forward?
So congratulations on 15-year long service award.
Thank you.
15 years with the Chamber of Commerce, you've seen quite a few changes.
For sure. I was reflecting on that just a couple weeks ago. When I started, we would send event invitations out by fax.
Yeah.
Fax or phone call. And that was only 15 years ago. So you think about how much things have changed over that time and how rapidly technology has advanced how we do business as well. We used to do a print magazine once a month, and the rate that information comes out now and the constant, I'm sure people feel inundated with all the information out there, from social media platforms to newsletters to websites. And so now we do a weekly e-newsletter, so it goes right to your email inbox, and we filter all that information. Yes. Because I think if businesses were inundated with the amount of information even we receive, you couldn't actually do your job or run your business effectively. And so we try to streamline and provide that information. But there's no way we could do a monthly magazine anymore, because by the time it would be published, a lot of the information would already be out of date.
So you've just gotten back from the National Chamber of Commerce in Halifax. How was that?
Oh, I've had the opportunity to travel from coast to coast to coast through the Canadian Chamber of Commerce, and had the opportunity to serve on their board of directors for a period of time. And so I always quite enjoy those conferences, and Halifax is somewhere I've never been before, so it's a beautiful, beautiful city. But the benefit of going to those conferences is really in the discussions on business issues at a national level. And so you see chambers, 400 delegates from across the country come together to discuss and debate the issues that impact their region that is of national importance, and bring those priorities forward. So for us, at a national level, we've tended to be a leader within the agricultural sector and bringing federal policies forward, or recommendations for the federal government on a national level. And so that's one of the areas that we tend to focus on. But we also brought a policy forward on the federal self-care framework, or the regulatory environment on natural health care products. And I think we could probably all attest to the fact that we all use natural health care products, whether that's vitamins that you take each and every day to other supplements and products, and ensuring that that industry isn't overregulated, because as we know, when costs are passed down to business, or the regulatory environment becomes burdensome for business, that passes down to consumers. And so we need to ensure that we protect those industries, and it's been a rapidly growing industry in Canada, and it's been a huge part of the growth in the industry in Canada. And so, us taking that message forward on behalf of our members who bring that concern to us is important for us to carry out that work.
Busy days.
Yes, always.
Stephen, you have the provincial AGM for the Chambers next May, I believe?
Yes, in May 2025, at the end of May, we are hosting the Alberta Chambers to come to Medicine Hat. So we'll have quite a few delegates from Alberta that are coming. Part of that is, again, talking about potential policies that will go forward for Alberta. And then also it's going to be part of our celebration of 125 years. So we're excited.
Yeah, the city is also in the process of replacing a lot of 125-year-old infrastructure. Hopefully they won't replace you guys. Do you find there are common issues between the provincial chambers?
There's some common concerns for sure. I would say it even breaks down a little bit more, like south of Calgary, a little bit more in touch with each other, compared to somebody then like up in Grand Prairie area. Yeah. But overall, everybody wants Alberta to be a business-friendly environment. Yes, we all know that there's regulations that have to be in place, but at the same time, what are those rules so that we can drive economic?
Read them so we can understand them.
Yes.
Yeah. You're coming up on, what, a first-year anniversary for the Southeast Alberta Chamber of Commerce?
Yes, the motion was passed at our AGM last year. and we received the Order in Council from the Privy Council of Canada in April of 2024. And so yeah, we're at that 1 year mark in terms of the members' approval of that and moving forward with that. So the expansion into Brooks Newell has been very positive. Because we started from the ground up, we wanted to ensure that the relationships came first and that we built the relationships with those businesses before, sending them an invoice or asking them for a membership or, engagement, whatever that looks like. And so we have over 50 members now in the Brooks Newell region, and we have the opportunity. We're actually going to be doing roundtables in each of those communities. So going out to Bassano, Dutchess, Rosemary, connecting with Newell County, and then we actually have some presentations to joint services, and so making sure that we have those connections with the municipal leaders as well as the businesses in each of those areas. Because as we know from our experience here with Cypress County, Medicine Hat, and the town of Redcliffe, the businesses in each of those regions also have their unique needs and want to ensure that they have their own identities in addition to being part of a larger region.
Exciting times. So what kind of issues does the Chamber locally in Medicine Hat looking at?
So we have about 36 different policy resolutions. So when you go to southeastalbertachamber.ca, you can actually look at all of our advocacy. I don't know, Stephen would very much speak to the ones that are kind of top concerns that we often hear about.
There's a few concerns right now, like off-site levies is a big one right now. Somehow, some way. But no, it's a concern. We've been able to talk with the city of Medicine Hat and help encourage some positive moves. It looks like they're working on some things to get better, or at least have educated reasons why we should do it this way.
Yeah, and it's not something you can change overnight. That particular topic is a process.
What a lot of people probably don't realize is that the Chamber has a number of committees working in behind the scenes on a number of these issues, and Stephen's actually the chair of our Business Advisory Council. So, when issues come forward to us, they generally hit our Business Advisory Committee table first in terms of taking a look at what those issues are and then distributing those to whether that's a task force or one of our industry committees, because we do have our urban development industry, we have a health and wellness committee, we have our large industrial manufacturers. When there's issues in agriculture that come up, we call together our members within the agricultural sector. So we're able to get industry experts involved in specific files. And they're quite vast. Like we have just within the last year, everything from Podorthus and the sale of raw milk to natural health products and offsite levies and economic development. So the range of issues that we address on behalf of our members is quite broad. Yes. Because of course every industry has very specific needs.
The raw milk is an issue that keeps coming up over and over and over, and I've never really understood why. I understand there are government regulations that milk has to be sterilized or evaporate or whatever, but it wasn't that long ago everybody drank raw milk.
I think most people who have been raised on a farm or mixed operation or had cattle probably have had raw milk or understand that, or when you had your local delivery and in the glass bottle on your doorstep, but interestingly, Canada is actually the only G7 country that bans the sale of raw milk. And there's been certainly, even in terms of natural health care products, there's been more of an interest, I think, from people to look at various options, or particularly those that might have grown up with that or have recognized the benefits of that want to ensure that there's a safe and legal way to access some of those products that they would enjoy.
Okay. The offsite levies, from my experience, has now been an issue for the chamber and the city and the developers and the contractors and the builders and everybody else for probably a decade, if not more. So does the chamber have a specific issue with the offsite levies?
So the biggest, I think, message around offsite levies is that equity and fairness, because it's a really complex topic. Offsite levies, I think, when the model was changed back in 2012, 2013, went to what we call a multi-node system. So essentially there's different areas within the city that would be classified as development nodes, or areas that development could occur. And as we know, as a municipality or city grows, there's infrastructure that's required to support growth. So you need, pipes and water and roads to support growth. And it's just ensuring that there's an equitable way to pay for that growth. And so it's generally seen as a partnership between a municipality and developers in terms of finding a model that works to pay for the growth and the type of infrastructure that's required for the growth, and whether that infrastructure is required, naturally within the municipality, or if it's actually triggered by growth, and weighing out all those projects and requirements and who benefits from that, and then determining the financial modeling for that in the end.
Yeah, it's not a calculation you can do on the back of an envelope.
No. Yeah, it's generally pretty difficult to do that on a napkin, because there's also, there's different infrastructure projects. And when an offsite levy is paid, it's paid for those specific types of projects. So whether that's water, storm, sewer, roads, those all have specific kind of accounts. And, some of the infrastructure is built up front, whereas other infrastructure is built, later on or as the growth occurs. So, yeah, it's challenging. And of course, levies are paid based on per hectare price, or that's how it's divvied up. And then there's a percentage recognition that, our existing population base still uses some of those things. And so there's a portion that, the existing tax base would be responsible for, and then a portion that is attributable to new growth that occurs.
No wonder I didn't understand it.
It's still pretty complicated, but yeah, the formulas, once you start looking at some of the projects and the maps and the formulas, then you can start to have, those informed discussions about what makes the most sense. And of course, within Medicine Hat specifically, we want to grow as a community. We want to see, that our infrastructure is maximized. So if there's been infrastructure built, we want to make sure that there's growth that corresponds with that infrastructure, and making sure that that we increase our tax base as well. We always say it's a lot easier if you can share that burden amongst a greater population. And we also know that commercial development is very beneficial, because they do pay a higher tax rate than residential development does. And so I think making sure that we grow in the right ways.
Well, making sure we grow in the right way is not an easy question to answer, because I was speaking with Ann Mitchell here last week, and it's the same thing. You can't just entice an employer into Medicine Hat and go, we're done, right? There's a whole specter of, not only the infrastructure, the industry needs, but you've got education, housing, transportation, recreation, and
pulleys and levers in that equation. So which one do you get started on, and as you go through, how does it affect each one? And so that planning stage needs to be more aware,
Yeah.
of course, so that we know what's coming down the line.
Well, yeah, if you build it, they will come is a very expensive way of doing a project.
Yeah.
Speaking of projects, the Chamber's also involved in the 2026 Special Olympics.
Yeah, so we came alongside as a partner for the 2026 Special Olympics. Of course, it had been delayed from the original plans. And so what we've been encouraging businesses to do, because we know that costs are challenging and sometimes to pay for sponsorship all in one, kind of lump sum can be difficult. And so they're able to do a payment plan for sponsorship. So as opposed to having to do sponsorship all at once, being able to sign up and do installments. Of course, those that signed up, a couple of years ago have a longer period of time or a longer runway in which to do that. But that option is still available, and then developing out kind of the corporate Friends of the Games program so that people that do contribute through that can be recognized not only by the Games but the Chamber as well.
Yeah, because that's going to bring in a lot of athletes and parents and coaches and supporters.
It'll be a huge economic impact. Anytime you bring in events where you're bringing people from outside our community in, the hotels, restaurants, local stores, everybody benefits from that impact. It's not just the event itself, but we know when people come into our community, they're also spending their money in our community, and so there's a circulatory benefit to that.
I was going to say, is there a way of tracking that? To a degree, I realize you can't nail it to a dollar.
Yeah, there is a way. There is some software tools out there now too. As soon as you start putting in the numbers and the quantity of people, and there's basically a computer calculation that can help you see some of those estimated dollars that are generated in the economy.
Yeah, because it's not just gas and fast food and a hotel room. And then you got the tourist board. Right? Well, what's mum going to do while dad's watching Junior throw a ball? Right. Well, she's not going to sit in the hotel room.
Or in between games, or in between events as well. Yeah.
And also there's an economic impact, because baseball field might need some upgrades prior to the event. So there's some construction that's being done for it. Tourism, well, while we're here, we're going to go and onto the trolley or something like that, right? Take a tour. And then we do have some of those people that, hey, we were here for those during the games, but they're also, I think next summer we're going to come back through this area because there's some things that we missed.
Yeah.
And now we're going to make them a little more time.
The Chamber is, is very well spread out across the whole region. I mean, you're not just supporting business people, you're supporting business people, businesses, tourism, the hospitality industry, the whole thing. Like, do you ever get any sleep?
I question it sometimes, for sure. I think my family probably questions it as well sometimes. But it's good because every day is different. Yeah. We do so many different things. We get to work with so many different businesses and organizations and individuals. And so it's energizing in the sense that, when you're able to make an impact, and when you have that purpose-driven work environment, it really is energizing, because we get to work with really great people in driving some of those goals forward and making sure that our business community and our organizations are supported. And I think one of the things that a lot of people don't realize, because I've heard it in the past, where they're like, oh, you only represent businesses. But, you have to remember our businesses have employees that we want to ensure are taken care of, and that workforce within our local community. Those business owners have aging parents in the community that we need to, make sure we take care of. And it is very much, we have kids who are in our school systems. So it's very much an ecosystem. Like we need to ensure that our businesses are thriving so that our community can thrive in the end, and make sure that we're aware of all of those correlating factors, or, the things that are impacted by the work that we do.
Yeah, well, I was impressed with your leaders' breakfast. I mean, that room was full of, well, half of them I didn't even know. They're obviously from the region of Southeast Alberta, but what was it, 250?
Yeah, there was about 200 people there.
Just around 200 people that came to that breakfast.
And I watched this whole interaction before we actually sat down, and then after it was, I need to talk to you.
I think a large part about the chamber is that those networking connections are there. Talking about the earlier discussion is, maybe I don't have the solution, but there's a person somewhere within the chamber touch points that we can tap on and say, can you help us find that answer?
And I think that's a really good point, because, following 23, 24, people were a little bit more reluctant to come out to different events. And I think people reevaluate how they're spending their time and where they want to spend their time. And so some of our networking events, we don't necessarily see as many people out to as we did pre-2020. However, every single time we have people come out, they're like, oh, I made some great connections. I had some amazing conversations. I learned something new. So I think as people are rediscovering the benefits of those types of interactions, particularly in the business world, where, we know we can't do it alone. That's the value of a chamber, is the strength of the network. You don't have to know it all, because you can tap on the shoulder of the person next to you and say, hey, I'm having this challenge. Have you experienced it? Or, just being in another meeting yesterday, and, a room full of executive directors, and all having similar questions, and being able to really maximize on the strength of the people in that room to solve those problems.
Okay, are there any other issues the Chamber's facing in the next year, your 16th year?
It's really great timing, because we are talking about strategic planning as, our board of directors and our operations team, and trying to figure out what that looks like moving forward. And I think the biggest challenge for us is going to be trying to streamline, our focus and what areas, but it is about member engagement. How do we get our businesses more engaged and excited about, the opportunities and the potential? It is advocacy and government relations, and what does that look like within a larger region, and making those connections with all of our municipalities. It is about how we tailor our events for, member connection and appreciation. So looking at, a pretty broad agenda in terms of all the different things that we're able to accomplish, and really honing in primarily on what do our members truly need and truly want from their Chamber of Commerce in our 20,000 square kilometer footprint.
And it is like that. As a region, now that we've moved into the Brooks Newell area, and then looking at Medicine Hat area and Cypress County, so it's yes, they're still unique to each other, but as a region, it's been invigorating to see what kind of the next step of attracting business and industry and potential projects that are coming down the line, because you're seeing it as a region. So we have to make sure that we're efficient at addressing all of that.
Yeah, because I noticed, which gives me positive hope for the future of this region, between the JBS expansion, McCain's expansion, twinning Highway 3. Even the base looks to be shifting their focus from the British Army training to all that big high-tech stuff that makes a lot of noise and explodes. There's a lot of opportunity here, and I think there's a lot of opportunity takers, I think, as well. Everybody says, oh yeah, Medicine Hat only grew by 11 people last year. Well, yeah, but then why are they building so many homes? Where did they come from? They're not sitting empty. So somebody's coming here.
Yeah, there is certainly a lot of opportunity. I think it's making sure that we have the right systems and processes and promotion and marketing. I think, it was one of those Southeast Alberta, this corner is Alberta's best kept secret. And, it hasn't really been able to have the same kind of exposure that, perhaps a corridor around Calgary or Edmonton. When you look at the greater Edmonton or greater Calgary regions, obviously they're going to get a little bit more traction because of the proximity, whereas, regions that are a little bit further removed from those metropolitan centers just need to shine a bit more of a spotlight on the assets that we have. And I think anybody that lives here knows what a great community we have, and others coming into Medicine Hat or into Southeast Alberta have seen that as well and have chosen to make this their home for many reasons. And the more we can shine a light on what we have here, I think the more attention we'll garner and the more investment we'd see into the future.
Yeah, because one of the best kept secrets I found out by accident this summer is the Iron Railroad. I never even knew it existed. Doug Jones is obviously a force to be reckoned with. Mm-hmm. But now they're talking about running that railway up into Calgary. Like, whoa, this is no small feat. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Anything else?
No, I think that's... I think that's kind of everything right now. But yeah, we have lots of projects on the go. Yeah. If there are people out there that have some questions, please reach out to our team at the Chamber office, of course, and we'll get working together. Of course.
Yeah, so there is a wealth of information on southeastalbertachamber.ca. So if people are curious about the Chamber, a little bit of history, our legacy, we have information on there, and certainly information about membership, our events, and our advocacy work that we do, as well as a number of different business resources. So again, we want to make sure that people and businesses are connecting with us for those resources and that information, and making that a little bit more top of mind.
Yeah, well, and how are the plans for your 125-year celebration? How are they going?
Well, we have a number of different projects in the works right now. We actually uncovered our 100th anniversary video that was done for the centennial year. So that's on our YouTube channel now, and looking to kind of expand some of the content. Yes, it was on a VHS tape and had that converted to an MP3 so we could upload that. But looking at, again, kind of documenting that legacy of 125 years and taking the history beyond that centennial, as well as a few things in store that are secret right now. But as Stephen mentioned, our 125th anniversary celebration, so our 125th birthday is actually May 28th from 1900. And so it lines up with the Alberta Chamber Conference, which will take place May 29th, 30th, 31st. So bringing in delegates from across the province, but also hoping to create an agenda that people here locally will want to attend as well.
When you have more information you can share, we will welcome you both back.
Well, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you both for coming in.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for watching.